Hey there, true crime friends. Listen, it's a holiday weekend, and so there's no courts open right now. So I'm just sitting here with my headphones on, listening to Snap, as you do. And this case came up, and I was like, wait, I remember this case. Now, Snapped did not go into the detail that I remember about this case. Oh, but I remember this case. You know how I remember this case? The French fries. To me, the French fries solved this case. And you know how much I love food. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. So I have to tell you about Miss Cindy Reese. Oh, yes, Miss Cindy down there in Mississippi, Alabama, someplace in the South. You know I don't go south to Jersey City. So Miss Cindy's down there and she's like, I would like to get married, but I want to find the perfect man. So then she found him and I was like, okay, cute. These two get together. I'm hurrying because I got people coming to my house in a little bit and I got to go pick up the food. But I was like, I need to stop and make this video real quick first. So anyway, Cindy meets this dude and they're into Disney. Disney adults. Okay. So they get married and they go on their honeymoon at Disney. Okay. So everybody's like, oh, they're living happily ever after. And these are good church folks. Alabama. That's where it was. This was in Alabama. You know where church is like really, really important to people. I live in the godless Northeast. People are not church people around here. If they do go to church, you don't hear them mention it. But down there in Alabama, they probably like, we go to First Baptist and we there Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. They was at the church all the time. So much so that they became good friends with the preacher and his wife. That's so cute. They were there every time the doors opened and they did Sunday school and youth group and choir rehearsal and all the stuff. So Miss Cindy was, she was in charge of the choir, the music director, and she got to be real friendly with the preacher. You can see where this is going, right? But the two couples, everything was cool. They used to go on double dates. Isn't that cute? So lovely. A little time goes by and Cindy, the music director, of course she ends up having an affair with the preacher because it is snapped. And that's how this goes. So they're having their affair and she's like, yes, I've only been married 5 years and yes, I'm doing the nasty with the preacher, but you know, God's going to forgive me. That's going to be fine. I'm going to have a confession, repent, do whatever they do. I don't know how the Baptists get rid of their sins. Maybe they just say a prayer, whatever. So she's like, it's fine. It's like light sin. So everything is cool. But then her and the preacher start getting hot and heavy. And the preacher was like, I'm going to divorce my wife. You divorce your husband. And then me and you could get together and live happily ever after. I'm probably going to have to find another job, though, because they not going to let me, you know, do with you and still be the preacher. So they have an agreement. So the preacher goes and tells his wife, and the wife was immediately like, yeah, you out of here, buddy. And she kicks him out. Cindy goes home and tells her husband, and he is very understanding. He's like, I'm really sad that you've been swapping gravy with the preacher, but let's go on a second honeymoon and rekindle our love. And then me and you gonna live happily ever after. And she's like, okay, because she's a Disney adult. So they go to Disney and have a second honeymoon only 5 years into their marriage. If you got to renew after just 5 years, things probably wasn't going that good to start with, but that's just me. So they go to their second honeymoon, and then when they pull back in the driveway, here's the preacher sitting at the foot of the driveway like, wait, what y'all do? I thought y'all was breaking up. How come? Wait, what's happening? And so Cindy was like, talk to my husband because, you know, we rekindled and we're going to live happily ever after. So the preacher, now he's divorced. He got a second job. He's big mad. Big mad. He goes and sits in his pitiful divorced man's apartment. And he's like, all right, I'm going to have to wait for Cindy to come around. Cindy was at home being all lovey-dovey with her husband. On the sneak, though, she was still swapping gravy with the preacher. But we didn't know that yet. So everything is going like normal. Life is good. And the preacher is like, we got to get rid of her husband. So this man goes to his new job because, you know, he can't be a preacher now, goes to his new job and says to some of his coworkers around the water cooler, hey, you know, would you be willing to kill somebody for me? Sir, you probably don't have a lot of experience in the corporate space, but what we don't do is solicit murder at the water cooler. That is frowned on. And human resources guaranteed to call you. But the coworkers, they were like, oh yeah, no dude, no thank you. It's Alabama. They were probably polite. They were like, oh, you hilarious. No, they didn't go to human resources. They did go to the police. So cut to like a couple of weeks later and Cindy calls 911. I just got in from this supermarket and my husband is dead here on the floor. I don't know what happened. Oh me, oh my. you should probably come and scrape him up off the floor, and I'm going to go over here and hang out with my boyfriend. I don't know what her plans were for the rest of the evening, but the police came, they investigated the situation, and they were like, who would have murdered this nice man? He was a happily married man. He went to church all the time, and those coworkers were like, remember when we told you about the dude trying to solicit us at work? That's her boyfriend. So the cops were like, oh, we're going to have to take a closer look at Cindy and this man. So they called the preacher in. Well, he's an ex-preacher now. Call him in, and he was like, I don't know what happened. I mean, maybe he had a heart attack. Maybe somebody beat him up. I don't know what happened. Did I try and solicit some people? I was just kidding. I was just kidding around. Don't mind me. And so they called Cindy, and they were like, Cindy girl, what happened? Cindy was like, we went to church like we always do, because you know we good God-fearing people. And then we came home after Wednesday night service. On the way home, we stopped and we got some food, including the French fries from the place with the good fries. And the cop was like, yeah, I love they fries. The spicy ones, did you get extra ketchup? Oh, I love they fries. Go on, girl, tell me more. So she was like, so I let him go in the house, and he goes in, and I was like, oh, I need to run to the pig. That's what they called the Piggly Wiggly. I did not know Piggly Wiggly had a nickname, but she was like, I have to run to the pig. I'm going to be back. And so she left, and she left the French fries sitting there on the table. That's when the cop was like, something is suspicious about this story. That place has the good fries, and nobody would not eat those fries hot. You would move heaven and earth to have them hot, because once you reheat them, not the same. And I was like, tell me more, Officer Friendly. So they were like, something is suspicious. Okay. And they were like, Cindy, what'd you go to the store to get? She's like, I had to get lunch meat and bread because I'm a good wife, and I was going to make him lunch the next day. So they were like, okay. So they went and they looked in her refrigerator, and there was lunch meat and bread already in there, in addition to the lunch meat and bread that she had in a bag from the Piggly Wiggly, and the cold fries were still sitting there. And the cops were like, something about this is very suspicious. So they scraped the body up, and they tucked it away over there at the grave place, whatever, the morgue. And then they got her phone records, and they were like, oh, we see on her cell phone where she left church, and she was talking on the phone, and she was on the phone for 29 minutes with her boyfriend, who was living over in his sad divorce apartment. And so they were like, okay, we gonna call the boyfriend back in and see what he has to say. And he was like, maybe she forgot to hang up because we was having a nice prayer together or whatever. I don't know what happened. And they were like, okay, sir, we're going to do some more checking, and we'll get back to you. So they start looking at old Cindy's bank records. Come to find out, Cindy had an account down at the credit union, the same credit union that all the police officers use. Oh, Cindy worked for the town. Oh, yeah. She was big of the church, but she worked for the town. So the sheriff just had to mosey on in and be like, hey, Bessie, let me get old Cindy who left the fries. You know that's a sin. Give me Cindy's bank records. And Bessie was like, oh, yeah, baby, here you go. Here them bank records. You can just take them. He probably didn't even need a warrant because this was a small town. And it was a credit union. So he looks through the records, and he was like, oh, I can see where she has gotten her preacher boyfriend an apartment and his new car and all these other things, because he's going through a divorce and he didn't have credit to get these things. So Miss Cindy is funding his lifestyle. They were like, obviously, this boyfriend killed the husband because Cindy didn't really break up with the preacher. They were still someplace, probably at his sad divorce apartment, swapping gravy. So they were like, Cindy, girl, you're going to have to come with us. They slapped the cuffs on her, put her in jail, put the boyfriend in jail, and was like, we're going to let y'all stew for a minute until one of y'all decides to talk. And so Cindy was like, oh, well, I have good credit and cash in the bank and probably some life insurance money coming. So she just went on, bailed herself out, and went on about her married life. She was like, well, he's not going to be using this apartment. Let me sell this car. Let me get rid of his sad divorce apartment and go on with my life. Meanwhile, he's over the jail like, Cindy girl, can you get me out? And she like, new phone, who this? So he sat in jail for a couple of months, and he was like, this heifer, I have given up my nice preaching job. I have given up my moral compass. I'm clearly going to burn in hell. I'm not even getting to swap gravy with her no more. And now I got to sleep on a hard mattress, eat bologna casserole, and a man named Bubba wants to be my date to the prom. Oh, no, he won't. So he was like, officer, I would like to talk. And when he went and talked, he rolled on Cindy. He was like, listen, she went to church, and then we had planned out the whole murder, and I texted her and said, keep me posted. If you look in the text, you're going to see that. So she drove all the way home with me on the line. The phone was all the way dead, but she wanted me to hear the murder. And so she went in the house. She left them French fries. That was a sin and a shame all on its own. And then they got into back and forth about something. And he said, all I heard her say was, I'm sick of him. Bam, bam. Shot the dude dead. Then she went to the supermarket. She hung up. She called the boyfriend back and was like, I'm going to need you to meet me. Met him at the gas station, gave him the gun, went to the Piggly Wiggly, picked up the lunch meat and stuff, and came home and found her husband. So the cops were like, oh, now we're able to put this all together. Thanks so much for helping. So we're going to give you a lighter sentence. So it all goes to trial. And Cindy was like, I would never do this. Divorce is unacceptable to me because that would be embarrassing. And I'm a good Christian woman. Cindy, murder is also a sin. I'm just saying, like, divorce might be bad. Murder's much worse. Also, very socially unacceptable. If you murder your husband, people are not going to want you at their dinner parties. I'm just saying. Although there was that one case a couple of weeks ago where the woman murdered her husband, got out of prison, and then went on back and opened up her hair salon. Her hair salon was doing just fine. So maybe they forgiving of murder. If it's a public service homicide, child, I don't know. So anyway, Cindy goes to trial. The jury was like, she left them fries. She's guilty. Now, the state might have had evidence about the murder. I'm sure they probably did. But the most damning evidence, the fact that she left those piping hot fries just sitting there. They were like, we from Alabama. We believe in food. That is a sin and a shame. Guilty. So Cindy got sentenced to life in prison where she still sits today. Meanwhile, her little preacher boyfriend, he got a lighter sentence. And you know what they mean by lighter sentence? 20 years. That's not a light sentence to me. That's a long time to be in jail. But he does have a chance of getting out. Here's the other thing, though. Child, this is men. So while the preacher was out on bail waiting for his trial to come up, he met another lady and got married. Who's marrying him? I mean, you know, he's dedicated until you turn on him. He was so dedicated to this woman, even after she left the fries, even after she killed her husband, he was willing to stay with her. He only rolled on her because she wouldn't bail him out. That foolish woman would have bailed him out. She would have been sitting pretty, but then she would have had to deal with that idiot walking around going, girl, I love you. I would cover up a crime for you. And who needs that? So anyway, this preacher, former preacher now, he's still in prison, but he's going to get out in like a couple of years, 2043, I think they say. That seems like a long time from now to me. That would be too long for me to be in prison. But Miss Cindy, she never getting out. She's LWOP'd. Life without the possibility of parole. Enjoy your LWOP. No more spicy fries for you. Meanwhile, I imagine the first wife and them kids probably went and lived happily ever after without his behind. That new wife, she don't have to visit him. She don't have to pick up his socks off the floor. She sent him a letter every now and then and she can still say he's married. She's probably in high standing down there in Alabama. Anyway, that's the case of Miss Cindy. I forget her last name. I'll look it up and it'll be in the title. So you'll be able to find this case if you need it. But I'm telling you, mess up some food, you're going to get done in. If it was not for them French fries, she would have got away with murder. Okay, now I really got to go pick up this food because the chicken is going to be hot. And when I want to pick up the chicken while it's hot. So when my guest comes, they get nice, hot, spicy Korean fried chicken. Oof, Korean fried chicken is good. Listen, I'm a fat girl through and through. I don't care how much I work out, how often I go to the gym. I have lost 70, 80 pounds, still a fat girl. Anyway, this fat girl got to go. Y'all have a great, safe day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.